Well, greetings, people of the internet. Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today we're going to do part 2 of that creating a small business server, a one and done server, so to speak, for your business. And we're going to be doing that on the Lenovo SR650 version 2 server. That's right. We're going to play with that Lenovo server some more today. I just can't keep my hands off it. It's such a nice piece of equipment. Thank you again, Lenovo, for sending that to Unky Joe's Playhouse. We're really, truly not worthy to evaluate and play with this server. So here we go, another video on that subject. Now, in the first video, we created a Windows domain controller. We created a domain for that domain controller to control. Of course we did. We installed Active Directory, we installed and set up DHCP and DNS, we set up some virtual machines, we even did a video pass-through on a couple of those Windows 10 virtual machines. We set up a Windows 11 virtual machine, if memory serves me correctly. So what we'll need to do is, as time allows, create some more virtual machines so we can get a good feel of how many machines this unit can host. We're probably going to create a couple more domain controllers, some special purpose servers, that kind of thing. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to install and configure a Linux Debian 10 Linux server. We're going to then install Docker on that Linux server, that Debian 10 server. And then we're going to install Portainer on Docker to then manage the Docker containers on Docker. That's not confusing at all. So yeah, because, you know, it wouldn't be a network without Docker, right? I mean, you can run containers on Proxmox, self-contained little operating systems. And I'm going to do a video about that too. But today, I want to teach you how to run Docker on a Linux server, on the Proxmox server for your business. Because there's so many things you can do with Docker containers. There's so many special purpose machines built out there. It's just a whole lot easier dealing with Docker containers a lot of times than it is spinning up an entire virtual machine and having to do updates and all this, that, and the other just to get one application running. So it's well suited for that type of endeavor, if that's what you're looking to do, which is why which is why I think it's an important part of any small business server. Certainly the one that we're going to be building. So that's what this video today is all about. Let's get it started right now. So in speaking with Sakura the other day, he taught me this nice little trick about how to get the updates on Proxmox. So before I boot this server up and start all the VMs on it, this is a Lenovo, of course. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to try this. And yeah, we'll put the dark theme on here as well. This light theme is kind of jarring. But anyway, here's the Lenovo in all of its glory. Those lovely silver processors. Thank you, Lenovo, for the loan of this machine. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So we got 64 CPUs, 256 gig of RAM. And we've started building virtual machines and putting this server to work. We're going to do a little bit more on that today. However, first of all, we're going to come over here to a little trick that Sakura taught me. There we go. I think I want to add now, and I want to add the community or no subscription. So that's correct. So I disabled the enterprise first, and now I'm going to enable the no subscription. Yeah, it's not recommended for production use. Let's reload. All right, and let's see what happens now when we go over to updates. All right, so it appears to have worked. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's a ton more updates. Now, be aware that these updates are outside of the realm of production. So, in theory, I guess it means not all of them have been tested. I don't know. But when you go open source and you go with a non-paid version of software, it takes your chances. So let's do it. I'm going to upgrade them all. And this will either be the end of this server or it'll be time for a new beginning. But either way, Sakura, I blame you. So we're going to let this run. All right, so it appears that we are back up and running. I don't see any errors on the updates. Let's go back to updates again, and we'll just refresh to make sure there aren't any more updates. And we look to be okay. I don't see anything. So let's go out to the shell. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the command to enable dark mode. And it's actually a script you run. So I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to paste it over here. There it is. Let's hit the enter key, see what happens. This is a random script off the internet, so use it with some care. I like living life on the edge, therefore I'm going to, live life on the edge. There we go. So I needed to actually, I should have tried the little trick that Jamie taught me the other day. I'm going to go ahead and teach it to y'all. So if you have something in your browser you don't think is up to date, you think might be cached, if you hold down the Shift key and then click on the refresh button, it'll actually reload that page instead of the cache version. So I thought I'd share that with y'all. All right, so now we are logged back on. The dark theme is installed. It looks much better. And all the updates are done. So let's start bringing up machines. The first one we want to bring up is the LabNet machine. And that is the domain controller. So I'm going to go ahead and start that. And then we have some Windows 10 machines that are running. Now these have, if we come here to the summary, these I believe have pass-through video cards. Yes, they do. So remember, when we go to connect to these units, we have to connect it up a little bit differently. So I'm going to go ahead and start this one. And this is the other Windows 10 machine we had. And this one has the NVIDIA P400. We'll go ahead and start this one. And then I had some Windows 11 machines, I think. I had one at least. So there's this one, and there is no pass-through video on there, so should be able to come over here to the console and start it. And the other thing I want to do is create a machine to run Docker on, and I think I'm going to do that on Debian 10. And I've got some choices. I could, in theory, create a container for my Docker machines, but I would rather, frankly, create a virtual machine running Debian, and then install Docker on there, and then install Portainer on there to manage my Docker as I learn new Docker stuff. So what that'll allow us to do in this lab, in essence, is to then create whatever Docker instances we need to run our business. So if we need to spin up a Docker instance of a mail server or some monitoring utility or something like that, we would have the ability to run Docker images. Now keep in mind, the whole idea behind this server, it's kind of an all-in-one kind of deal. So I want to run as much of my business on this as I can, and then the idea is to then buy another one of these servers and then have it for failover. So that's what we're pretending we're doing. So we're also going to create a couple of more Windows machines for the lab that have a couple of different purposes, maybe a software update server, maybe a distribution server for software. I don't know. We'll just see how the mood strikes me. We'll just keep building more images as we need them. All right, so when it comes to distributions of Linux, Debian is my favorite. I just find it easy to install and, whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a virtual machine here. So click on that, and we're going to call this, how about just Docker? We could call it Docker. We'll just call it Docker. I mean, we can rename this anything we want to. And we're going to actually install Debian 10. And it's a Linux 5.x, 2.x kernel. Now, I'm wondering if I should go ahead and set this up as a Q35 machine. You know, I've never done this before. I've always used the default i440. So let's just get through this. We're just going to set it up as a default. Now I'm going to go ahead and load the agent on it as well. That just saves me a step later. Okay, so it's going to load it as a SCSI, VirtIO SCSI, and I want I think I want a 60 gig hard drive. Now, where are we going to put that on? Right now, it's choosing the DS1621. That's my Synology NAS with spinning Rust. No, I don't want it on there. I don't want it on my FS1018 because I'm getting kind of low on space. But I do have these lovely little SSD drives that Lenovo included. So I think I'll just put it on here for really fast storage. And we're going to do, let's give it 2 cores and 2 sockets. Let's do that. And just to distribute the load across multiple CPUs, because we do have dual CPUs in here. So click on next. I'm also going to give it, I like giving it 4 gig of RAM, so it's got plenty of room. And we're going to use a VirtIO paravirtualized network card, and the VLAN tag is going to be 30 because we are on VLAN 30. So next. That all looks good. Click on finish. Okay, so it's created machine number 112 for our use as our Docker machine. And I guess we're going to go ahead and click on start now. And we're going to do a graphical install. So now we're up to the one of the final install screens, and it's asking you if you want to install Grub Bootloader on the hard disk. Yes, please, because if you don't, Linux won't boot. So click on continue, and then we need to manually select the device dev SDA, dev /dev/SDA. Choose continue, and then it'll install Grub. That way you will be able to boot off of this volume after the install is finished. And then we'll start doing some other stuff. So it should be good to go now. So I'm going to go ahead and click on continue. Let it reboot. That's a good sign. I'm going to go ahead and hit the enter key and let it boot up. Now keep in mind when it boots, it's going to come into a window manager screen to allow you to log in. So, and here it is. Let's go to System Tools. Let's go to Mate Terminal. Boom. There we are. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to install the guest agent tools so that I can communicate. Debian can communicate with Proxmox, etc. So, I've got some notes here on how to do that. So I'm going to do, I think I'm going to have to do this as sudo. So sudo apt -get install QEMU -guest -agent, and then enter my sudo password. Okay, so the other thing I can do is log in as sudo, and now I'm at the root. So now I should be able to do the apt get install QEMU -guest dash agent. And now it should be installed. So I'm going to exit out of here, and I'm going to exit out of this, and I'm actually going to restart this machine. So we'll do a restart. And we'll keep an eye on the summary here. Let's go down to options. We just want to make sure I did enable the guest agent. Yes, it is. So we'll come here to summary. And now what we should be able to see is that once it reloads and the guest agent loads, we should see network information here, I'm hoping. There it is. So we now know that it is on the 30 subnet. It's getting its IP from the DHCP server 30.29. So we can live with that setting, or we can go in and we can hard code an IP address, which is what I think I'm going to do. But I'm going to use an XFCE session. I'm a little more familiar with that than I am the Mate. The Mate is just fine, but see, this gives you kind of a choice to do what you want. And I'm going to use the default config. Oh, sure. So I'm going to come here to applications. I'm going to go to settings, and I'm going to come here to, there's one for network here somewhere. Advanced network configuration. So I'm going to double click on here and edit this, and I'm going to come over here to IPv4, and I'm going to change this to manual. So the address I want to be is 192.168.30. Let's make this 26. Net mask of 24 is fine, and then our gateway is going to be 192.168.30.254. And our DNS server is going to be 192.168.30.1. And our search domain is going to be labnet30.local. We're going to save this. And then I'm going to go ahead and restart again. Yeah, I know, folks, it's not Windows, it's Linux, but I just like to restart them just to be sure. So after this restarts, then we should see that we are up to our new IP of 26. So that's good. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to do an SSH connection into this machine and get Docker installed. So I'm going to do that next. So I'm just going to come here to the Windows and type WT for Windows Terminal. There we go, and that brings up a Windows PowerShell. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to SSH Adama at, and actually I can do this, Adama at 192.168.30.26. I'm going to tell it yes to accept it. I'm going to enter my password. And then I'm going to do, once I'm logged in, I'm going to do sudo space minus, and that should give me sudo access. Now, normally what you'd do is you would add Adama to the sudoers file, but I just find it easier to do it this way. So there you go. We've got Debian 11 installed. We've got the updates. Well, we haven't done all the updates. We're going to do those next. We've got SSH enabled. We've got a hard-coded IP address. It should know where DNS is. Let's see. So we know DNS is working. It's translating that information. The next thing we need to do is get Debian updated and then install Docker. All right, so let's get the updates done for Debian. So I'm at a terminal prompt. I'm logged in. as myself, and then I sudo space dash to get sudo access to the terminal. So now the next thing I'm going to do is apt update, and if you're not sudo, you'll need to do that first, sudo apt update. And what this does is it goes out and checks the repositories and updates the list from there, the package list. So then it gives you that command, or it gives you that comment, all packages are up to date. Then the next thing you want to do is sudo apt upgrade. Now, if you put so I'll just do apt upgrade. And if you enter a -y, it's one less step you have to do. It won't prompt you if you want to continue. So I'm just going to tell it apt upgrade -y and let it run and hit the enter. And there's nothing out there to update. So since Debian is up to date, we're good. Now we can go ahead and get our Docker installed. Now the first thing, according to the Docker docs, the first thing you want to do is put this command line in here, apt get remove Docker, to make sure there's no other Docker container versions installed. And as you can see in my case, there are none, so that's good. Now we can install using a repository, or we could install using a Debian package. Some use scripts. I'm going to do it line by line. So the first thing it tells me to do is apt get update, which I've already done, but again, I'm going to follow these instructions. So for some reason, my terminal session was disconnecting. I don't know what was causing it, but I'm back. So I'm going to try to run this command again. And there we go. Now it seems to be running this time. So this is basically going to install multiple items, the CA certs, the curl, GNU PG, and LSB release. So I'm going to tell it yes. Now I went back in under and added my Adama account to the sudoers file. There's a simple command to do that, and basically you just go out to the command line and type that in, and that should work. So the next thing we want to do is create a Gpg key for Docker. So we have to add that. So I'm going to paste that, make a directory to put that into, and then I'm going to use a curl script to get that file in the proper location. Again, all of these instructions are on the Docker website. So, all right, so now I'm going to add a repository. So we're going to use the echo command to do that. All right, that should add the repository. I'm going to go ahead and clear my screen here so it doesn't get so cluttered. And then we'll proceed to do an apt get update. That's done. And we'll go ahead and get Docker and all of its associated parts installed with that command. Tell it yes. Okay, so now what we need to do, it looks like it's installed, so let's verify it is running. So I'm going to clear the screen real quick, and then we're going to run a command just to verify Docker is running. And it should download it. It does, and there you go. All right, so that's good. Let's see. I guess we're done. Yeah, Docker's installed. So it appears that I need to run sudo space usermod space -a capital G space Docker and then Adama. I want to add Adama to my Docker group. And I think that's done it. And then that way it'll allow me to run Docker as sudo. Now what I did was I logged out after I gave did that usermod command, and I've logged back in as Adama. So let's see if Docker will work if I can type in commands with my regular account and see have the command run without an issue. So let's see, let's type in Docker version and bingo, there you go. So that means the usermod command completed successfully. For all intents and purposes, Docker is installed. So the first thing I needed to do was create a volume for this Docker image. So I just typed in Docker space volume space create space Portainer underscore data. And it's going to give me an error that it's already there. But there I created the Portainer data volume for Docker. All right, well, I keep losing my SSH connection to this server. I would have to look into that. But to continue on, let's get Docker Portainer set up. So I'm going to run this command, and it should pull the image automatically and set it up for us. So the ports are very important. I'll put a link to the article I used to set up Portainer on here, but that should now install Portainer under Docker. And in theory, we should be able to go out to port 9000 and connect up to Portainer. So let's see if that's the case. And then there we go. So now I need to create a super secret password, which I will do with the username admin. And create user. And then I'm not going to save my password. So here is my local Docker container, and now you can see that I have Portainer in here and whatnot. Now, one of the things I want to do is come down here to settings, and I want to use my local IP, and I'm doing this from memory. You're going to see that on my containers, if I try to connect to something here, it's not going to use the right IP address. See, it's going to go to 0.0.0. So I need to fix that and let it know what the local IP is. So select environments. Okay. Local. And then I put my public IP in here. So it's 192.168.30.26. Update environment. All right. So now if I come here to container and I try to go there, it should go to, yep, 30.26. Perfect. Okay, so there you go. We've got Portainer installed. We've got Docker installed. We've got our local. We got our, let's see, is there volume Portainer data there? Yeah, so it looks like we did everything correctly. Now, this is the most basic of setup I've shown you on how to do this, so keep that in mind. Now, the thing to do is see if it survives a reboot. So I'm going to go ahead and log out of Portainer, and then I'm actually going to restart the machine that Portainer is running on and see if it all starts up automatically. When we did that Portainer command, when we created that image, Docker image, we told it to restart always. So, yep, there it goes. So we should log in as admin with our super secret password. Authenticate us. There's our local Portainer stack or container stack, and there's Portainer running in Sleepy Diffy, whatever that is. Oh, that's the hello world command. So, wow, success. That's good, and it survived a reboot. So let's go ahead and log out, and we'll come back to Proxmox here. So as you can see, it's all working. We still have the guest agent loaded, so we're getting our IP and we're getting our statistical data from it. So yeah, another piece of the puzzle. So now we can run Docker images and we can easily manage them using Portainer on our Proxmox server. So we've added another skill set to the list of skills that this all-in-one server can do. So one thing while I got you here, I got a captive audience. I'm going to go to my Windows 11 Pro machine on here, and I'm actually going to join this thing to the LabNet network. I hope. That's my hope. So I'm old school. I'm going to go right-click on this computer and go to Properties, and I'm going to rename. It should bring up the System About page, and I'm going to rename this PC. So this will be W11P-001. Click on Next. And then what I'm going to do is join it to the LabNet 30 .local domain. Make it a domain member. That was one of the steps I didn't do in my previous video. So, all right, so we've rebooted. So, go ahead and log in with our super secret password, and we're going to have to reboot again. So I'll bring up File Explorer. I suppose there's other ways to do this, right? I mean, I suppose I could just come here. Let's see. Go to Settings. And then Network. Now let's just look around here. Let's see. About. Let's go to About. Yeah, we can do it in here. And then go Domain or Workgroup. Yeah, change. And we want to join the LabNet 30.local domain, I believe is what it's called. Click on OK. And then it should prompt us for an administrator username and password. And we all know that is Mr. Bill Adama. He's the big kahuna here, and that seemed to have worked. And you'll see that Windows pop under Windows all the time on Windows 11. They still haven't fixed that. And it's just telling us we need to restart the virtual machine or computer, whichever. I will tell you, let's see, where's this hard drive on this thing? Oh, that's because it's booting off the DS1621. No wonder. That's a really slow NAS that it's booting off of. I was like, why does the machine seem to be running so slowly? And it's because I'm using the DS1621 to store the image of this thing. I need to get this Windows 11 Pro machine onto some speedy local storage that Lenovo sent. So first, let's see if we can log on to the domain. All right, so we'll log on as Adama with our super secret password. And then we're going to move this drive over to something a little more speedy, either to the flash station. We'll do it on local storage. We'll use either data 2 local or data 2 or data 3, one of the three. All right, so the first time you join a domain, it has to go out and create a profile for that domain user, which is what it's doing here. And that can be disk intensive. So, yeah, it's going to be really slow. I don't know what I was thinking when I created that Windows 11 virtual machine on that DS1621. Nothing wrong with that Synology. It's just that it's slow spinning Rust. And then you, plus you add the fact that it's over a network connection, albeit 10 gig, it's still going to be as slow as that spinning Rust. So, all right, so we've survived the reboot, and it has been joined to the network, so we're good there. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down, though, and we're going to move this to some speedy storage. I'm going to show you how we do that. It's fairly trivial. So we'll let it shut down. Let's come over and look at Data 2. Data 2 has got plenty of free space. Data 3 has got even more free space, and then local LVM has got a ton of free space. So we can put it on either of those drives. We could also put it on the Synology flash station, but as you can see, we're coming up pretty close to the totals on that, or to the maximum storage on that unit. So let's come back to the machine. We're going to go to hardware. And one thing we can do is click on the hard drive, and on the disk action, we can move storage. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move the disk to another storage. So we're going to move it off of the DS1621 and move it to, let's just do local LVM. And we're going to move the disk. Now, I'm not going to delete the source yet. I want to get the image copied first. I could click delete source, but I don't know that I trust it. So let's just move disk. And this is going to take some time. So it's coming off of spinning Rust going on to SSD. So it'll take as much time as it takes. We'll come back when it changes. All right, so the disk has now been moved. So now when we take a look here, it should say that it is on local-LVM. So what we need to do is go back to the DS1621 now and look at VM disks and find number 111. As you can see, here it is. I should be able to go to the DS1621 and get rid of both of these. Yeah, I should be able to remove both of these. Wow. It says I can remove it here. Oh, there's the unused disk. So yeah, I can just come up here and then we click on remove, and then we should be able to delete the disk. See if that works. Okay, says it's done. I'm going to see if this machine will boot. And it should boot up a lot faster than it did on shared storage on the DS1621. I'm hoping. Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, that was worlds faster. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and log in. And I'll see why it is I can't remove that volume. It's just, you know, new operating system to me. I'm not used to it. I'm used to Hyper-V and used to ESXi. So I'll figure out how to get rid of that image and share it with you. But there you go. So now this Windows 11 machine is joined to our LabNet 30 domain, and we moved it onto some faster storage. All is well with the world. Proxmox seems to really like this Lenovo server, and vice versa. Thanks again to the folks at Lenovo for sending this server to me and allowing us to play around with it. We got some more videos coming up on this as we keep building upon what we've learned. So there you go, boys and girls. It is installed, it is up, and it is running. And I even managed to go back and set up my Windows 11 machine to authenticate against a domain. I don't know why I didn't do that earlier. Now the machine is back to bed, as you can see. It's not there anymore. It's been put back to sleep. So we got Docker installed. We got Portainer installed. We got the Debian install done. You saw I had some issues with it disconnecting on the SSA. It looked like the network adapter just went bye-bye. Now, the other thing we did was we ran the community updates on this thing, and I'm beginning to wonder if maybe that wasn't a mistake. Time will tell, but based upon the experience I was having with that Debian machine, where it just kept kind of throwing me out of my SSH section or session and not allowing me back in unless I logged out. I don't know. Suffice it to say, I don't know what was causing that, but I need to get to the bottom of it. And this is going to bring up a point I want to discuss with you. I would never do in a production environment what I did today in my lab environment, which was to enable the community updates and just do them without a whole bunch of testing first in a lab. So, learn from my mistakes. We hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. Please give us a thumbs up down below if you liked the video. Leave your comments. down in the comments section. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and click that notification bell to be told about new videos when they come out. Donate if you're so inclined. PayPal, Patreon, YouTube join function. We take them all. So, yeah. I think that's it for this video today. I hope sincerely that you enjoyed it, got something out of it, and now we've added Docker to our small business server. Yay! Now we can do whole lots of other stuff, or nothing at all. So anyway, come back and see us again, and don't forget, we'll see all of you on the other side.